Make this year the start of your journey to authentic sales success. Welcome to the 2023 Authentic Selling Challenge, brought to you by our partners at the Y Institute, From the Heart Cards, and Selling from the Heart Insiders Group. Each day, you will be inspired, equipped, and challenged to take action to unlock higher levels of success in your sales career. You're about to be coached by some of the sales world's leading thought leaders and influencers. So grab a pen and a notepad and get ready to take action as we join our challenge hosts, Larry Levine and Daryl Amy.
Good morning and welcome back to the 2023 Authentic Selling Challenge. Daryl Amy here. Larry, what's going on?
I'm looking forward to day two. Day one of the challenge with Don Barden was just absolutely over the top, Daryl.
It's amazing. It was so practical and so incredible. And that's been our goal this week, is to bring practical ideas that you can put to work immediately to grow your sales here in these uncertain times in 2023. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We've got Meridith Elliott Powell in the house today, thriving in uncertainty, one of my all-time favorite thought leaders and business strategists, sales guru extraordinary. Get ready to learn about how we deal with the emotional side of uncertainty. This is going to be a super powerful day. But it is so fun seeing everyone showing up. Give a shout out in the chat if you're here. We've got Donna all the way from Oregon. Thanks for joining us this morning on the left coast with Larry. We got Liz. Liz is going to be here tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Get ready for Liz. It's going to be so much fun.
Hey,
and
I want a special shout out, Andrew.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things about the Selling from the Heart Challenge is Larry is in California. And I don't know if you noticed, in California is raining and they're having terrible storms right now. So one of the things we've decided to do is have a backup host on deck today. And this is going to be a problem, because you may like this backup hostess more than Larry himself. We got Jackie Joy here. Jackie, what's going on?
Hi, how everybody? I can't even talk.
You're so excited to be here.
Excited. Very excited to be here. Some of my favorite people are here. George Henderson.
I know.
Nat Nelson, great. John Schroeder, Hey Royals.
That's right. If you hang out with Schroeder, you're going to hear Hey Royals every time. But this is a great group of folks. And we're so glad you've gathered here today. And if you've hung out with Selling from the Heart at all, you know Jackie is our head coach, leads our whole team of trainers, and is a Selling from the Heart guru of gurus. And it's so great to have you here. And Jackie, as we're leading into this, a couple things I just want to let everybody know. First of all, there is a challenge group on LinkedIn. I'm going to paste that in the comments right now. If you're not a part of that group, it's a private group exclusively for people who are registered for the Selling from the Heart challenges. You'll get behind the scenes information from this challenge itself. You get to interact with some of these people you see here commenting on YouTube. You might even connect with them and get to know them. And on top of that, you'll also be updated on future challenge events. So make sure to do that and text the word challenge to 21,000 and get updated on all of these things. They're recorded in case you can't come live, so you don't want to miss any of it. Look who's here. Hugh Hornsby is here. We get to hang out with Hugh in October at our Breakthrough Sales Leaders Retreat. What a great time. Jackie, you know, as we're working in all of this, I think one of the things right now is, if we're going to show up authentically as sales professionals, we've got to understand who we are and what our unique selling style is. And I know you're really passionate about this topic of developing your unique selling style. What's your story been? I'm curious, because I want to share my story, right? How I got hired 30 years ago in sales. And I know y'all don't believe it, but it is true. 1993 for me, and how I was forced to be this corporate robot. They told me what to say, and I totally lost myself in the middle of all of it. And thanks to Selling from the Heart and hanging out with Larry, I woke up to being my authentic self. Fill us in on a little bit of your story, and let's share what we're cooking up here.
So as you get to know me over the years, I have been in many type of selling situations. I've been in everything from a pharmacy technician to radio sales to you name it. I have done it. But one thing about me is I'm a little on the stubborn side. So when people tell me to act a certain way, I don't always conform. So, which tends to get my leaders a little bit agitated with me, but I stayed true to myself.
Hmm.
And so years ago, 4 years now exactly, when I tripped across your podcast, the Selling from the Heart podcast. And if you haven't listened to it, please go out and listen to it. The value that you bring on the podcast. And then you started talking about the Selling from the Heart book. I'm like, all right, already get out. Let's get it out because I wanted to read it. And when I read it, it was like, okay, it resonated very highly with me. So I was lucky enough to be the type that always stayed true to who I was, whether
Hmm.
people liked it or not. I'm sorry, I was that stubborn person, but also much to my mother's dismay. But that's how I didn't have to go through what some of the people have gone through, being that really stringent corporate type, because I did stay true to myself. And now we've partnered with the Y Institute, and people can learn their inner self much quicker and faster so they can put verbiage to who they really are. Because I know when I did it, it was like, oh wow, that that resonates so highly with me. So now we
Yeah.
can share that with people.
Well, I absolutely love this, and we talked about it yesterday. We kicked off this exciting opportunity that we have, and Jackie, you've been the fuel and inspiration behind it. And what I love about the concept of discovering your authentic selling style, which I'm going to put some information on the screen right now. When you discover your authentic selling style, you can thank Jackie Joy because it's a lot of your journey and your tenacity to stick with being yourself that is fueling all of this initiative inside Selling from the Heart. And as we create a movement of authenticity and trust inside the sales profession, Jackie, it's really cool. I think a core part of this movement is having sales professionals that know who they are and know what their unique style is, because it's hard to build trust if you show up as a corporate robot.
Absolutely. Because when you're out there and you're doing, I have said so many times, you're literally put up for failure within 5 minutes of starting in a sales career when they hand you a script and say, read exactly what it says
Hmm.
and, just dial, dial, dial. Well, what it says might not resonate with who you are on the inside. When I
Yeah.
was a leader, I would, yes, because you need to start with the script, people, so they understand their job. But what I would do is I would highlight the sections that could
Right.
not be removed because they had to say those. The rest of it is like, put it in your verbiage, how you feel.
Hmm.
Because if you don't, then you're always coming across as inauthentic and your energy arrives far before you do.
It's so good. It's just going to be fun. And if you want to discover your authentic selling style, you want to get a sneak peek. We'll be rolling more and more of this out throughout the week. Go to sellingfromtheheart.net/selling style, selling dash style, win more deals, make sales more enjoyable, serve your clients better. And really, I think ultimately end up being less stressed in the middle of it. Because I think a lot of what causes stress is when there's a disconnect between who we are and how we're approaching our clients. And that brings us to our conversation today with one of my all-time favorite business strategists, the true sales guru who lives both in the sales world and in the boardroom of large corporations all over the world. She is a multiple-time author. She's an incredible public speaker. She is one of the most generous people I've ever met. And her generosity has brought us here to the studio today, or brought her to the studio today. Meridith, welcome to the 2023 Authentic Selling Challenge. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. I am excited to be here, trying to figure out which way to put myself more in the camera.
That's good.
There, Jackie, excited you're here, and Larry, I did see your message there. We will be kind. We miss you.
Well, maybe. We'll see, Larry. It depends how you do in the chat. This is great. And Meridith, I'm so glad you're here because I don't know if everyone listening in knows this or not, but we're in a time of a little bit of uncertainty Have you noticed?
Yeah, just a little bit. In fact, I was listening to the Jamie Dimon interview this morning, and they were basically asking him what is going to happen, and he just put off this entire list of everything that could change our trajectory, positive or negative, that are completely outside of our control.
And that is stressful. And that, and that's where I wanted to go today as I was looking through Thrive, how to strategies to turn uncertainty into competitive advantage. There it is, folks. You want to grab a copy of this book. In fact, when you do it, you want to grab a stack of them, because this is one thing you're going to want to give to your clients. Seriously, what a great gift to your clients to say, I want to help you. I want to help you thrive in uncertainty. One of the things that really jumped out to me, though, at the beginning of this whole book is when you look at uncertainty and you think about the place that we are right now in the world, there's a lot of emotion attached to it. It's not just a data sheet.
No, not at all. It's interesting. When I wrote the book, it came out right when COVID basically hit, right in the middle of that year. And I think we all thought at that point that was the greatest uncertainty we were ever going to hit. And now we sit here, 3 years later, and COVID almost seems less stressful than everything we're going through right now. And I feel like where people are right now, where the emotion in COVID was fear, now people are overwhelmed and they're exhausted and they're looking to think, where am I going to get the energy to move forward?
Yeah, this emotional side, Jackie, I don't know about you, but I'm seeing this both in clients, but also in salespeople all over the place. And I think it's a big game changer.
Yeah, I was on the mastermind last night, and that was one of the main topics was people's emotional state and how they're viewing the world a lot differently than they were before, and what they're going to do and how they're going to change their mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the emotions that rise to the surface in the midst of uncertainty? Like what when you walk into a buyer's office or Zoom room, what can you expect is lurking there in the background or in their heart in the middle of an uncertain time like this?
I think that at its root, it's fear. But what is coming out now is it's either coming out as a little bit of anger, overzealousness. I mean, I think the interview you did with Dawn yesterday was so great, because every salesperson I seem to deal with right now, if I could wave my magic wand and do one thing, I would say, calm down, because they're just trying to sell everything under the sun as fast as they as fast as they can sell it. I do think that people are exhausted, and the biggest is probably lack of control. And the moment that we feel out of control, good things are not on the horizon. But Jackie and Daryl, the good news is you can flip all of this around.
Well, which begs the question, how do you do that? What do you do when you walk into that situation that's so emotionally charged, both on the buyer and the seller side? I mean, as salespeople, there's a lot of emotion now too. There's a lot of pressure to perform. I know corporate boardrooms right now, I was reading yesterday in the Wall Street Journal about the pressure around earnings. This stuff's all flowing, even in private companies, this stuff's all rolling downhill. So the buyer's stressed and under all these emotions. The salesperson is under all these emotions. I hope you got some ideas on what we can do about this.
I got a lot of ideas for you. I gotcha on this one. I mean, the reason
because I was getting stressed, Meridith. If you don't have ideas, I'm really getting stressed.
The reason that I wrote the book was what I found was everybody wanted to do something in the face of uncertainty. They just didn't know what to do. And I wanted to literally crack the code on this. So the first thing that you need to understand, and the first thing you need to take a hold of, is rest assured your clients need you now more than they needed you last year. That is the good news, is you are desired in the marketplace. Whoever you are calling on needs you to call on them. However, you cannot call on them how you did in 2022. And the reason is because as we look at 2023, their problems and their challenges have changed. And everything that you all stand for and everything that Dawn said is it's the path to growth. Listen to people. You know, when I was a kid, my mother used to say to me that the fastest way to get past your own problems is to focus on somebody else's. And, you know, as a 7-year-old, I didn't understand what she said and why she was making me go to Easter Steel and volunteer to help other people. But as a, you know, as a 60-year-old, I really get it. If you can forget about your own fears, if you can leave your goals in the background and totally lead with your heart and say, I'm going to call every customer I've got. I'm going to call prospects. And just like Dawn said, you are going to lead with gratitude. Not only is it going to take your stress level way down, which is so important because people are buying your energy before they are buying anything else. So that's going to take down. The other is if you can be present and listen, people will tell you what the problem is. And when you know the problem, you can solve the problem. And that is your path to growth and profitability.
Oh man, this is amazingly good. And Carrie's chiming in. She got some goosies on that. I think that's something. If you're listening later, you just want to rewind that section and listen to it 5 times, because I think that what you're just sharing there is so powerful and critical.
Yeah.
So I got a quick question. Is all of the people that you've been running into and their high emotions and all that, I'm going to put a plug in for your next book, Confidence Plan, that you wrote in December. Was that the impetus of writing that book?
Yeah, I wrote, thank you so much for recommending the Confidence Plan. It's the book that I've got coming out now. Is that what I found was when I went through Thrive, the one place I couldn't help people is like Thrive is the methodology. This is what you do. But if you don't have your head right first, it's exactly what Daryl said. You got to get your head right first, because it is, you know, the funny thing is people gravitate to the people who have confidence in the middle of a crisis. Yeah. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I got no idea what's going to happen in 2023. I've got no idea how my business is going to grow. But the one thing I do know, and I am 100% confident in, if I focus on helping my clients, that path will reveal itself. And the Confidence Plan was that. I wanted people to understand that you can simultaneously be afraid, you can be worried, you can be uncertain, but you still can have confidence. And there's a strategy to build that.
Oh, wow. It's so exciting. It's so spot on in terms of where we need to be. And when does it come out, by the way?
Yeah, so it just soft released at the end of December, but we're going to do a big roll in March. And you know, part of it is I really don't want to gloss over the fact that we're all afraid. You know, like anybody on this right now, anybody you interview this week. I mean, we all have that week where you just can't close a deal. And in that week where you can't close a deal, you're sure your family's never going to eat. You're going to have to live in a box and nothing's ever going to be okay. I mean, I look at the beginning of my career and the point now, and my husband will laugh. I'll walk around the house and go, I haven't closed anything this deal. I don't know. My business is blowing up. Nothing's going to be okay. I mean, we're nuts. We go from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the valley, you know? And I think one of the most important exercises that you can do is not to ignore the fact that you're afraid. That's okay. That's normal. But there's an exercise in Thrive that I love where you just take the time, you dump everything out on a sheet of paper that you're worried about. I'm worried I won't make my goal. I'm worried I can't pay the rent. I'm worried that, you know, I'm not going to be able to raise my prices, whatever it is. And then divide that pile into what you can control and what you can't control. The difference between people who succeed and people who don't, the only difference is that people who succeed train their brain to focus on what they can control. Listen, I did not say they 150% focus on what they control. I said they train their brain. They're in training to get better and better at focusing on what you can control. And oh, by the way, you control what you focus on. So work on that exercise and you are going to see so much progress happen.
Do thoughts become things, Meredith?
Absolutely.
Wow, this is so good. I think that, you know, just to pause and reflect on where we are right now, and I think, you know, it's so interesting because I think in sales, we've been taught the football analogy, right? When things aren't going well, sorry for any TCU fans out there,
Oh my gosh.
that you focus on blocking and tackling, and so I think we have this natural bent as sales professionals to go back to, you know, our prospecting, you know, that
Yeah.
those types of things, which is you better be doing that. I mean,
Right.
you better be doing that, but there's a level here in this atmosphere, this highly charged atmosphere of fear and uncertainty, where we've got to really work on our minds and that thing that's 18 inches below
Yeah.
on our heart. And this is a time where what you're talking about, I think, is a critical game changer, because the reality is I think a lot of sales professionals are going to miss it right now in this season, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that it's difficult. You know, you're going to have, I listened to a statistic the other day. I don't even know where it comes from, but something like 60% of salespeople miss their goal last
Mhm.
year and miss their quota. And I think, what are sales leaders doing if their salespeople aren't hitting their quota? So
Mhm.
you may have a sales leader who's coming down hard on you. I certainly
Mhm.
have had that in my lifetime, and that can mess with your head.
Mhm.
You really, this is a time when you really need to do the inner work. If I'm moving from my head, I do not hit my goals. If
Yeah.
I am moving from my heart, I miss my goals. You have to trust the journey. If you have the behaviors down right and you're being proactive every day, then you will wind up where you need to wind up. But if you're so focused on hitting that goal, boy, people can feel that energy
Yeah.
coming off of you. And in an uncertain environment, people want to know they're cared about. You know, if I go and I call on Jackie and I'm trying to sell her everything under the sun, she doesn't feel heard and she doesn't feel listened to. Now, this is really important. In an uncertain environment, customers feel scared. And when people feel scared, they want to be heard first. And you need to give them that path to do that. And then, exactly like Dawn said, just skinny it down to what they need to solve now. You do that, you'll build trust and you'll have the opportunity to sell everything under the sun.
Ah, I love it. I
Great.
love it.
One of the things that I've mentioned before, Meredith, is salespeople have a very bad tendency of beginning the conversation. They have the end in mind already. They've
Yeah.
already calculated their commissions. They've already figured out what that client is worth to them. And that's what we mean by their energy arrives first. The client feels that when they walk through the door.
Yeah.
Whereas
Absolutely.
what you're saying is, you know, you really have to go, I wonder what this client needs, you know, what are their concerns, and really hone in on that first and not think about your own needs.
Yeah, what's so funny is, I'm old enough that sales training used to be, we used to sit in a room and we used to pre-call plan for an hour before we went on a call. And that pre-call plan included determining what the customer was going to buy. Like, how bad of training is that, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't, I mean, you need to really open that conversation and allow that customer to tell you really what is what they're thinking and what their ideas are on the table. But if I have a preconceived notion of what they're going to buy, what's the point of having the conversation? And imagine how I made customers feel back in that day.
Yeah. I'm just, I'm having flashbacks.
Yeah,
I need
right.
some therapy at the end of this, but
Yeah.
this is so true. And I think this heart of showing up, like Dawn was coaching us yesterday, let's start with gratitude. Let's show up and check our hearts before we walk into, Larry, would call it a servant mindset. versus a commission breath. And, let's go in. By the way, I see Larry just chiming in all the way through. So we got to give a shout out to Larry. Larry, for those of you who tuned in late, Larry is on the West Coast, and they are having internet problems because of all the storms. So don't panic. Larry is not going away.
That's right.
I'm
No,
not Larry Levine.
Shout out to Larry.
But we do hope he can swim, because he might be out treading water in Thousand Oaks today.
He knows how to surf. He's
Yeah.
good. He's good. Meridith, when you do get in front of that client and you're thinking from one of the things I love about Thrive, and I love about your approach to this is you work from a strategic mindset. You work with a lot of executives helping companies think through strategy. And I wonder if you might put on the executive hat for a moment and think and coach us from the perspective of the executive who's sitting there in the midst of uncertainty, who is, not only afraid, but unsure, uncertain, that's the word, of what to do. Like, coach us on how we should be thinking as we're offering advice or helping someone think through a solution to a problem from the perspective of the executives that you spend a lot of time with.
Yeah, such a great question. I had an executive say to me that he said this was last year, and in the middle of everything's going on, and we're having supply chain issues like crazy. And he said to me, I really do not need anybody to come into my office and ask me what's keeping me up at night. I need somebody to walk in here and tell me what's keeping me up at night and how the heck I can get a good night's sleep. And I think that really says it all. I mean, if everybody could take one thing from our time together, I want you to take this. I want you to understand that your customers really need you now. Think about the fact of, if you saw a neighbor or a friend in trouble, you would do everything you could to help them. That is the mindset you need to go into when you're with an executive. I was on earlier with one today, and I said how things are going. And he said, well, depends on what happens in Europe. China's just opened up. So right now our supply chain looks good, but everything that we're hearing, COVID's spreading like wildfire. So if it shuts down again, we're in trouble because we're still too dependent upon Asia. I can't find the talent I need to fill the holes I've got. But other than that, 2023 looks like a good year. Oh, wait a minute. Interest rates are rising out there. So number one, the mind of an executive is, I'm looking for a partner. Number two, they know they need help. So take that off the table. But they are looking for somebody who is smart coming into their office, who is not selling them a product, but is strategically trying to help them grow their business. That's why, your whole premise of selling from the heart is so strategically well positioned for 2023, because, where I used to go in and think I was going to sell this or I was going to sell that, now I really have to go in and understand the industry better, in my opinion, than they understand the industry. Listen to what's going on. And then I'm going in like a partner saying, here's some things that I think would be really valuable for you to focus on. And if you did, this is where I feel confident that we're going to wind up. And so the mind of the executive, I would say, is more open to help, but they will not suffer fools.
Yeah, I think it's funny. One of the things I did, and I'm looking back, I realize it's almost symbolic. I subscribed to the paper edition of the Wall Street Journal for this year. And it's funny because it's old school, right? You open it, I'm like, this feels good. It's been a long time. I've had it on my app, but I wanted to make a declaration or a practical, tangible decision that this is a year where it's really important for us to know what's going on, because it's changing so quickly. And there have been times as sales professionals, especially for those listening in who are in the B2B space, we can kind of skate on the marketing mush of be more productive, enhance your security, all of that. Whereas right now, like the things you just rattled off are like, this is real time business decision making. And I would say that if you're not talking about something that's connected to one of those issues, they may love you, they may think you're great, they may respect your company, but if you're not talking about something that's related to one of those top level business issues, if you can't make the bridge, I think you're really, really going to struggle right now in this environment, because the reality is I don't have time because I'm so focused on what are we
Yeah.
going to do about these things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and therein lies the opportunity, Daryl, right?
Mhm.
Because most salespeople are not going to do that. Most salespeople are going to continue to sell the product. So if you can be the one who is truly a value added resource, is keeping up with the times. So when they're talking about supply chain, you understand what they're talking about in the depths of, if, how things shift and change. Do you know where their supplies are coming from? What are they working on? How does that impact, their inventory and things? Again, C-suite level executives, I think, are more willing to take a meeting than I've ever seen them willing to take a meeting. However, they will not take a meeting with somebody that they don't understand upfront can add value to the situation.
Wow.
Salespeople really need to learn how to bring in those insights so the C-suite can feel seen, heard, and understood.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, C-suite level executives, here's another thing. Even if you're not calling on the C-suite level executive, you better realize in 2023, you're calling on the C-suite level executive, because the CEO and the CFO are watching the budget lines so closely. And if you don't have any connection to proving to the CEO or the CFO why what you do brings value, then you are clear on the chopping block in 2023. If you have not worked the CEO and the CFO into your calling efforts, you need to figure out how to get it, especially if it's a significant contract for you.
Yeah. And just going back to our friend Dawn yesterday, calling on that middle manager who cares about perception to help them look good to the
Yes.
CEO by bringing ideas up into the C-suite in all of this. So I love it. As we're wrapping this up, we've got some time for some questions, and I see
Great.
some questions starting to ping in here. What an incredibly relevant conversation. So if you have a question, drop it in the chat here in YouTube. I want everybody to make sure to grab this. This is one you want to go grab 10 or 20 copies of it. And I'm not joking, Meredith. I'm really, really serious. This is something that if you're looking for a gift, don't give them a koozie or a drink cup. They don't need another one of those. Give them some solid advice. And this is a great thing to give and say, I want to talk to you about your strategy and the issues that you're having right now. Let's see. So we got a question here from Andrew. Andrew says, you mentioned overzealous reps earlier on. Is this an individual performer issue or is it a leadership issue?
Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah, it is a great question. And I think it's probably a combination of the two. People feel a lot of pressure from executives. I mean, Daryl, you were mentioning that, everybody's feeling earnings pressure and everybody's feeling, those managing those short-term results with long-term performance. Look at what just happened to Southwest Airlines. Talk about focusing on short-term over the long-term.
Yeah.
If I love the fact that everything you're talking about is your authentic selling style. Do not let an overzealous leader knock you off your authentic selling style, because that's how you're going to close more deals. Your job is to get results. And at the end of the day, if you get results, nobody cares if you did it in pink underwear running around half naked. If you got them, you don't have to do it their way. So you do have to get results. And that's a good thing, because this isn't all about doing it your way. And if you get a result, that's fine. But if you sell according to your own, you'll get the results you need, and don't let that pull you off doing what you know is right. And
So
sell
my
for the long term.
Served me well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that uniform.
It's so just I was gonna make a dig at Larry, but you know what? He's having a storm. I'll be
Exactly.
nice.
Poor
I'll
guy.
be nice. Larry, you're great. I think actually what Larry said, mic drop moment. And this is, this is something, it's a really good
Yeah.
litmus test. At the end of that conversation that you had with your prospect or client, did they leave smarter than when that conversation began?
Yeah, and I think it's good to ask yourself, like, to really answer the question, why would this person want to meet with me? I mean, time is so precious in today's marketplace. And
Mm-hmm.
so if I am going, I mean, I always say that a sales call is a privilege and you need to treat it like that. So how are you going to go into that sales call adding so much value that it was worth their time to engage and to talk with you? And if you get off that call and you don't really think you added value, then you need to go back in and really look at at what you're doing. I love the fact too that I really want people to think. I mean, part of the reason we wrote the book is your job as a salesperson isn't to sell a product. It is to help people navigate what is a challenging time and
Mm-hmm.
figure out how they can find the best path through that. And if you can think bigger than that, then you're not even competing in the same pen with everybody else that sells the same product that you do.
Well, and for all of the, as I read the Wall Street Journal last night,
Yeah.
for all of the layoffs in different industries that are going on, and some sectors are trimming things back. The reality is, as salespeople, you can go, oh no, they're laying off people. They're laying off people. They got jobs to do still at these companies. They got to figure out how to do it. I mean, laying off people solves a problem, creates 10 more problems. And
Yeah.
so there is a ton of opportunity out there right now, but I think we just have to be very alert. And what if that hour that back in the 90s I used to spend strategizing how we're going to get him to the close, to get to
Right.
the press card, the fourth copy is yours moment. What if we invested that hour in actually learning something that we could bring that was fresh, useful, and helpful, that we could bring to the table, so that conversation actually, they got to the end of the day and they were like, man, I'm so glad Jackie came by.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah. And I think that, I think part of our calling strategy for 2023 should be to sell absolutely nothing. At least a couple of times a week, I pick up the phone and I call a customer and I just check in. And in all honesty, I'm checking in because I need to get my pulse on what's happening in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes you end up selling things, but I'm just curious. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what's shifting and moving. You came back from a conference. What did they focus on? Because that's how I stay in touch and I have my ear to the ground. And then while I'm listening, my head is going crazy with thinking, how does what I do for a living, how could I reposition it to
Mm-hmm.
solve those particular problems? Because it is a myth that people will not. I don't care how bad. I don't care if the percentage of economists that say the bottom's going to fall out, if they are accurate this year, it can still be your best year on record. But you
Yeah.
have to understand the problem and you have to solve that problem.
Yeah. And it's interesting because we think back to what we went through during the COVID pandemic. What was interesting about that, and I think this is something that you said early on that it really caught my attention, is when we were going through the pandemic, everyone had the same problems at the same
Yeah.
time. I mean, really, how are we going to do remote work and all those things? We were all doing it. But now everything's spread out. The problem, this is a lot of problems. And the implications of each one of these different things in your client's specific industry and business is something that if we'll take the time to understand, we're going to get the keys to the kingdom in terms of going in and adding value and winning deals.
Yeah. Oh, that is so true. I mean, like, how many of us have clients in healthcare that are coming off year after year of unbelievable growth? But their
Mhm.
problem is people are exhausted. I mean, they're completely wiped out. And they have so many of our healthcare supplies come from Asia, and they're just on pins and needles, seeing what's going to happen
Yeah.
with China and and the rest of Asia. Versus we have, if you're working at all in construction right now, they're starting to see a slowdown and add, building cost materials to that. And their challenges are a little bit different. They want to keep the employees they've got, but
Mhm.
finding the business they need. So yeah, staying attuned to that and constantly adjusting how you can solve and help those problems are going to be really key in today's marketplace.
What a great conversation, Meridith. It is always, I leave so fired up and inspired and equipped every time I get to share time with you. Ladies and gentlemen, Thrive. I got to get a copy of this book. And how can people?
Confidence plan.
Oh, and the confidence plan, the new one. Yeah. They can find it at my website, valuespeaker.com. I'm a big believer, build your network, change your life. So if we are not connected, I would love to be connected. One of my favorite parts of Thrive, though, is that when I finished the book, I just got to thinking, well, uncertainty doesn't end when we leave the office at 5 o'clock. And so I wrote the last parts of the book about how to deal and apply the formula into your personal life. So it has both the professional and personal. But I love working with you guys. What an honor to get to kick the year off with you. And I feel like we've sat here and had our own little private conversation that I've gained so much from, and so have gratitude for the audience for tuning in. But I really cannot express enough. If I can do anything to help anybody, please just reach out, and please reach out and connect. I would love to be connected.
I love it. Well, Meridith, you are a true Selling from the Heart champion. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the time. And Larry, I hope you survive the winds and the storms of Southern California, and life gets back to normal out there.
All right. Well, have a super day, Meridith. Jackie, that was I knew it was going to be, it's always great talking to Meridith, but I think the points that we brought up together here in this conversation are so relevant to where we are right now in being authentic, both in how we show up relationally for people, but also bringing some authentic value to the table.
100%. When you go through, it was funny because when you guys were talking about going through the pandemic, I kind of, again, being stubborn, went through things a little differently. Everybody was being locked down. I was traveling from South Carolina to North Carolina. I was still in hotels. I was still trying to go out to eat. I was still doing everything that everybody else stopped doing because I'm stubborn. And because I need to find a house in North Carolina, but that's another story. But I didn't have the same impact on that the rest of the world had.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and this is, what can we do different? Yeah. Well, everyone's afraid. How can we show up in a way that is authentic? And that brings us to discovering your authentic selling style. We're so excited about the journey that many of you are going to go on. I hope all of you go on this journey, whether you're listening in live or listening in down the road, because as we're talking today, when we're able to show up with our authentic self to our clients, the three things that are on this slide absolutely happen. You win more deals, your life is more enjoyable and less stressful, and you're able to actually make a difference in the world. And I know that's one of the things that I love about the Selling from the Heart community is this is a community of people that want to make a difference out there. They want to make commission. Of course, they want to be successful for their families, but they want to make a difference. And right now, in these uncertain times, we got to show up authentically so we can make a real difference.
Absolutely. Because if you're not showing up as your authentic self, so say you start with a corporation and they want you to do one way of selling and you're doing it that way, that stress of not being who you are authentically plays a toll on your mind and how you're showing up for others. So it will make a difference not only in sales, but it'll also make a difference in your personal life when you start showing up authentically and people understand who you truly are.
All right. Well, go visit sellingfromtheheart.net/selling-style, sellingfromtheheart.net/selling-style. And when you do that, I also want you to take one more step. And this is our challenge for all of you today. Is I want everyone that's listening to my voice right now, whether it's live or you're listening later, I want you to ask yourself the question, what does it mean to me to sell from the heart? I'm going to just throw it out there. We throw it out to every one of our podcast guests. What does it mean to you to sell from the heart? I want to challenge you to ask yourself that question and then grab a video camera. You own one. And put it up in front of your face, smile, and tell the world what it means to you to sell from the heart. We're going to have a drawing this week. We'll randomly pick from all the people in the challenge who do this. Somebody is going to win a free Discover Your Authentic Selling Style experience. And I hope that's you. So grab your camera. What does it mean to you to sell from the heart? You can drop that in your LinkedIn, share it with the world. You can drop it in the challenge group. Or if you're a little bit shy, you can email it to us. Either way, I want to know what it means to you to sell from the heart. And we'd love to feature your video in the challenge group, as well as possibly even here live on one of our things. Don't be scared. It's going to be great. You know how to do this. It's going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of a lot of fun, guess who's coming tomorrow, Jackie?
Liz Wendling. Woo!
Oh, wow. It's going to be good.
Liz. I met Liz for the first time 3 years ago. And I knew from the moment she spoke that she was my girl. She brings so much value. She talks about the F word, not the word that you're thinking, but she'll explain that tomorrow as well, I'm sure at some point. But you guys will all enjoy Liz. I highly recommend you showing back up live tomorrow.
That's right. Well, a huge shout out to everybody out there that's listening in live and also listening in later. Another last request, share this. We've got some incredibly valuable coaching that we just experienced today. Will you share AuthenticSellingChallenge.com with your coworkers, with your clients? When you grab 20 copies of Thrive to give to your clients, you can share this challenge as well. This is a great opportunity for us to go out and advance this movement of authenticity and trust in the sales profession. So thank you to everybody. Jackie, thank you to you for pinch hitting. And maybe we'll see Larry back tomorrow. If not, we'll do something else. It's going to be fun. We got Liz Wendling in the house. Jackie, any final words of encouragement as we get ready to sign off today?
No, I just want to thank everybody again in the community. It is so important for us to hear what it does mean to you to sell from the heart. That's why we enjoy getting those videos as well, because it's not just for our guests that come on. You know, this is building a community of like-minded people. And we want to know from Donna Sylvester and Kristen Woodbury, you know, some of our newer members, some of our older members, we want to hear from you.
That's right. So thank you, everyone, for chiming in. Make sure to visit us in the LinkedIn Challenge group. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same channel. Discover your authentic self, and most of all, sell from the heart.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope today's 2023 Authentic Selling Challenge has left you feeling inspired to put your new knowledge into action to grow your business. Please share the challenge with your coworkers, family, and friends, while we all make a difference together. We look forward to continuing this journey with you tomorrow.